Hello, climbers, and welcome to Season 4 of Climbing Mount CMMC. Hello, climbers, and welcome back to another episode of Climbing Mount CMMC, the podcast. My name is Kaleigh Floyd, and this is Bobby Guerra, and I also have Mr. Adam Evans here. We are a part of an MSP called Axiom that is a CMMC Level 2 certified MSP, and we're excited to talk today. Oh, I'm scared to say it. I'm shaking in my boots. It's called a cloud service provider. Oh no. Everybody turn off your machines.
It's an evil
Okay.
it's an evil thing, cloud service providers.
We've started a conversation that we're not prepared for. No. So if you guys are new or if you're reoccurring to our podcast, we've brought up a little bit about an external service provider because spoiler alert, we are one. We're classified as one under 32 CFR. And with CMMC, MSPs are classified as external service providers, but there are such thing as these things called cloud service providers, and it comes with their own requirements. And sometimes these lines get a little bit jumbled and people start to lose their marbles. And we are planning on trying to grab some of those marbles today and put them back in your hat because we don't want anybody to be freaking out. But before I begin a talk
But
that's as
let's talk
serious
about
as
what's
this,
at risk, right?
well,
They're at
yeah,
risk. They're terrified that if they get classified as a CSP, they're going to have to become
FedRAMP.
FedRAMP, right?
Yes.
Which is really kind of where the fear is
Mhm.
coming from. And for people that are managed service providers like us, we've been classified as working with CSPs all the time. In fact, if you resell Microsoft a lot of times refer to those relationships as CSP, right?
Mhm.
So, cloud service provider, you're kind of working with them to resell their products.
Yeah.
So that term has been used a lot in the industry, but when we get down to what the Department of War is talking about here, it's different than what you see just in the normal sales slick. So you got to kind of understand what they're talking about, and what you're basically looking down the barrel of is if you're an MSP and you're providing IT services, you could be held accountable to becoming a CSP, a cloud provider, and then at that point it could pull you into the FedRAMP arena, which we don't want to head down right now.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of
Oh,
cost.
why not?
Yeah. So as an MSP, you want to just we're just a managed service provider and we're not Microsoft. And so there's just a lot of confusion about how an MSP, and there's just a lot of fear that because if you're providing a cloud solution, which most managed service providers like us do, that you could trip and somehow accidentally become a cloud service provider in your journey to provide service to your clients in their CMMC journey,
Mm.
which is not the case. So.
Right. Well, before we get started, let us put our hand up and say that we are not claiming CMMC Jesus, and we're not putting our hand on the CMMC Bible. So what we mean by that is, if for some reason you don't like what we say, well, good news, we're not the Department of War. So you can talk to them about it. But what we want to share is just our perspective when navigating these waters ourselves as an external service provider. So I thought it'd be good for Bobby to first open up with the NIST speak of things, shall we?
Yeah.
And talk
Okay.
about what it says there for a cloud solution, a cloud service provider.
Yeah. So they're doing cloud computing as a model for this is NIST's definition.
Mhm.
Cloud computing is a model for enabling convenient and on-demand network access to shared pool of configurable computing resources. Boy, that really rolls off the tongue.
It does. It always
Uh,
does.
e.g. network, server, storage, application services that can be rapidly provisioned, released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. This cloud model promotes availability and is comprised of 5 essential characteristics: on-demand self-service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid escalation, measured services. These 3 service models, cloud service, or cloud software as a service or SaaS,
Mhm.
cloud platform as a service, PaaS, cloud infrastructure as a service, IaaS, And for deployment models, private cloud, community cloud, public cloud, and hybrid cloud, I mean, we can keep going, but it kind of goes through to explain those components of what they have
Mhm.
as cloud computing. And I think they did a pretty good job of just defining what you would call Azure or Amazon
Mhm.
or Google,
AWS, yeah.
AWS, right? These are cloud platforms that are providing key components, right?
Mhm. Emphasis on rapid, I believe it said, right?
Yeah.
And also it doesn't have to do with services provided, which I feel like is a really big thing with external service providers. So that's a really big deal there. Do you wanna sort of describe in your own terms when you hear that as an external service provider, Bobby, not NIST speak, but, MSP speak, what do you hear that as when reading that definition?
Yeah. Again, so many people have put the fear of God in MSPs about just their normal operational way that they could somehow accidentally like become a cloud service provider. And I think the key here that people need to understand is you don't do that by accident. Unless you have a very, very large organization, you have a lot of people that are pouring into the infrastructure of what you're trying to do, and through trying to grow market share and things that you can start to evolve in that. But small 50-person MSP doesn't accidentally create a CSP. That just doesn't happen. So I think the first sanity check there is like, how big is this organization we're talking about? If they're small, uh, there's one exception to that, though, in my opinion, and that is if you were doing it on purpose because you wanted to have multi-tenancy to try to manage a lot of different ones. So if you did that, even if you built a multi-tenancy on like an Azure platform, I think that's when you're starting to step into that cloud service provider platform,
Mhm.
because you're building that multi-tenant, you're filling the definition of what they're describing by creating this multi-tenancy to allow for rapid deployment. But that's a conscious
Yeah,
decision,
yeah, you're forming your company, like, around that in some
right?
way, so you don't
And and
accidentally form that.
And what I believe has happened here is some companies did it on purpose, intentionally, okay? And they tried to skate the system and thus spoiled the water hole for everybody else because they tried to do something they knew was cute to try to
Mhm,
get away from it. And then the DOW kind of did what they do a lot of times. We're going to take our toys and come back and come with a different type of perspective,
mhm,
with a little, they come down with the gavel, right? Because they're frustrated about people trying to skirt the system.
mhm.
And then, normal,
Joe Schmo
small little
MSP.
MSPs just doing their thing, trying to do the right thing are like, "Oh my gosh, are we screwed now? I
Mhm,
have, I I have a tool in the cloud. Am I a cloud service provider now?" And you're like, "Slow your roll, bro. Slow your
mhm.
roll." And just they really, really freak out about that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the DOW coming back, with the reins a little bit, Adam, shall you read maybe what, the DOW has come back with more recently about CSPs and ESPs?
Yeah. So I mean, there's been a good, to the overall conversation. There's still a lot of variables out there, and Bobby, you mentioned it in one of our other podcast episodes with that kind of fear of God of like asking back and forth. Sometimes you got to be a little careful what we ask for. So when we ask for those clarifications, sometimes we might
Right.
not like those answers. But in this case, the question of is an MSP administering a cloud environment considered a CSP has come up multiple times, and the DoW has finally felt it worth their time to provide an answer. So this is something that I recommend really anyone to pay attention to. Is there's a CMMC FAQ page out on the DoW's website for CMMC, and it was last updated very recently. I think as of time of recording, within the last 30 days at least, if not last
Correct.
60.
Yeah.
We have a question here, and it's we store CUI in the cloud, and our MSP administers the environment. Is the MSP a CSP? Um, the DOW's answer: it depends.
Well, we've heard that one before, Adam.
Yeah, I know.
Who says
So anyway,
no?
pausing for dramatic effect. Why not?
It wasn't that
It
dramatic, but
depends on
thanks
the
for trying.
relationship between the CSP, the MSP, and the OSA. So it depends on the relationship between, and I'm going to put it into some clarify as we talk here. So we're using Microsoft as our poster child, and us as a poster child, and our client as a poster child. So if the cloud tenant is subscribed/licensed to the OSA, the client, even if the MSP resells the service, then the MSP is not a CSP.
Mm.
Let me read you that. If the cloud tenant is subscribed or licensed to the client, and Axiom, the MSP, resells that service, then Axiom is not a CSP. Period.
Okay.
If the MSP contracts with the CSP and modifies the basic cloud service, then that MSP may be a CSP.
Mm.
Notice I said maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They didn't say is. The answer is might. So, Bobby, to your example earlier, things get a little bit more murky there. You get some gray area. And then, of course, if that were to be the case, then the FedRAMP or equivalency requirements would apply. But when we look at the MSP marketplace out there and what most MSPs doing, we sell Microsoft licensing to our clients. That's not making us a CSP. We'll manage that environment. We're not a CSP. If we take what Bobby said, we take that Azure tenant, we build up all the infrastructure in there, and then we resell that built infrastructure to a client, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I would say you probably are, but yeah, I mean, you're still very in the maybe category, like you're saying, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So
And then in that case, talk to your legal counsel.
right.
Talk to someone that knows a little bit more and they knows the laws, because you've got your DFARs and FAR rules around CSP requirements there.
Right.
Talk to someone
But
that knows and can give you an authoritative legal answer.
there's one key detail that we kind of brushed over very quickly that is a very important determining factor. Where's the CUI? If the CUI is in that tenant that we have scaled out and built and had a multi-tenancy and we're providing and reselling, and you can whip out your credit card and then you go in, oh, here's my, CMMC ready cloud that I built, right? And I built it, and it doesn't matter, you built it in Azure, whatever. Like you're creating that on purpose, right? And it's storing CUI. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to be FedRAMPed. They're gonna catch you on that, right?
Right, and even if that CUI is encrypted, the DoD further clarified in this document, encrypted CUI is still CUI, and if it's in the cloud, the FedRAMP requirement hits. So
yeah, 100%.
Also, too, I think it's important to bring up these people that you're describing too, that fall under that maybe category, that most likely are CSPs because of what they're doing. A lot of the times, those people are not doing services like we do as an MSP. Like they're giving them like templates and giving them recommendations, but they're not doing like actual like help desk support services for those people too. Like it's a different type of thing. And so I do feel like, that is also something to consider when falling under that maybe. Like, do you have an agreement with that person that you're, reselling that to, and you do regular ongoing services with them? Or are you, like what Bobby was saying, whipping out your credit card and, and paying for that tenant that they built kind of thing? And so, I do think that's important to know as well.
And so I just want to very quickly go through a sanity check that I feel assessors and implementers and other aficionados that like to create trolling opportunities in social media blow right past the stop signs. And there are a few, and they're very important. And then we get into the minutia, and then everybody starts fighting in the minutia, and you just blew past all this other stuff that could have just said no. All right. Number one, where's the CUI? If you're an MSP and you don't host the CUI, you're not a CSP. You're not hosting it, right? You don't have a platform you're providing them. So whatever you've got, you might have cloud platform, you might have tools, and they sign it. You're not, just not. So done.
right, your tools might be,
Now, well, if you're reselling the tool, but the tool would have to have CUI in it, right? I mean, so
right. The example I was thinking of is like your backups, your cloud backups.
Right, exactly. So that's the thing. Like, just stop right there. Like the conversation just ended. People are like, well, let's ask 20 more questions. And you're like, I'm so smart. Like, just slow your roll, bro.
As I said when we got on here, us IT people and engineers, we're some of the smartest idiots out there. We love to overthink the crap out of these things, over-engineer solutions, and we left common sense at the door when we started the process. And I'm as guilty of it as everyone else.
Right. And well, a lot of times where it's coming from is assessors and other organizations. They're not MSPs in their bone. They don't really understand the industry. They're concerned about something getting pulled over on them, and they're trying to make sure that they're covering. They're doing their due diligence. I get it. But there's some very easy preliminary questions you should ask to just stop the conversation immediately, and there's no really further to go. The next thing is like, how large is the company? Like, if they're very small, they're not going to be developing a platform that's going to have these capabilities. So just look at the scale and the size and the scope of the organization. It's not a determining factor, but it's a good indicator of whether
it lowers the likelihood.
Yeah, I mean, a 25-person MSP is not standing up a CSP unless they did it on purpose.
Right,
which
unless
we talked about
that's
earlier.
what they do.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what they do.
I know of one of our peers out there that kind of fits that model. Some of our people from a conference last year, I noticed they're now listed on the FedRAMP marketplace, and they do the rapid spin up of enclaves and spin down and manage it. Brilliant people over there, and they recognize that, they probably fit the definition of a CSP and went through the FedRAMP process. Cool, makes sense.
Right.
I get it.
But you didn't, put a remote control software tool in your cloud and accidentally categorize yourself as a CSP, and now you have to be FedRAMPed and you get bushwhacked in your assessment. It's just not a thing. So it's not something you got to do. So the next thing you got to think about, right? So where's the CUI? If you're not hosting it in your cloud solution you're offering, then you're not a CSP. And the second thing that you got to think about is the size and scale of what you're doing. The third thing is the tenancy. Is it multi-tenancy? Do you have, because that is what FedRAMP is for, is because they're trying to ensure the security of these multi-tenancy platforms. Which is what Azure is, right? Azure has these multi-tenancies. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people are running on this one platform. And so you've got all of this data that needs to be safely separated. Okay. And it's terrifying if you get it wrong. So that's what they're trying to accomplish when they're requiring the FedRAMP. They're not trying to be buttholes about it. So it really just comes down to, are you creating multi-tenancy? Is one of the next things that you just want to ask. If you don't have multi-tenancy, and you don't have the CUI, definitely not. Because
that just brings up a real big question.
Well, but for us, we're an MSP. We stand up tenants for clients, but they're not our tenants.
Yeah.
They're the client's tenants that we're standing up. We manage those tenants. We have tools that we support those, but they're not sitting in our stuff. So not CSP. So it doesn't. Just when you start to kind of go through that. But now, if they had their stuff in our tenant and we set it up, now we're talking. That's when we got a problem.
That's what I mentioned.
You just go through those questions and it just very quickly, boom.
Yeah, and I was going to mention, Bobby, you mentioned at the beginning of, where's the CUI? That's a really good question to ask of an MSP. If the MSP is like, well, gee willikers, is there CUI in my environment for my clients?
Willikers.
That's a really good question. Why are you, the MSP, taking on the client CUI and putting it in your own systems? What process are you following for that to happen? You can make the argument on backups, but then why is that flowing through your system to your backup provider? Again, common sense. If I look at our client environments and the idea that we might get their CUI, someone's really screwed up. We've been very intentional like that to try to keep CUI out of our environment. Our procedures are written with that in mind. We know our clients have it. I don't want to even look at it.
Yeah. Hear me out. Sure. Help! I've fallen on CUI and I can't get up.
Okay.
I need a shirt on that. Oh, that's
Kaleigh.
It's the woman with the life alert.
No. We take the life alert kind of comic thing and the help I've spilled and I can't get up, and it's just in a puddle that says CUI all over it.
Spilled and I can't get up. Help! I spilled. I can't clean it up. Help! Oh my God, that's so good. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to do the basic thought process before you get into the minutia. Everybody wants to go into the weeds first. Don't do that. Get at the higher conversation. And if you're an MSP and you're coming in, the assessor starts coming out, start at the top first. Don't get in and just weed yourself right away out. Nope, this is what's going on. Oh, got it.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Pull the scoping guide, look at exactly what the requirements are. And if they try to say, oh, we'll CUI, to be like, show me exactly how this fits here. Show me. You explain it to me, define this.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the scoping guide. You need to know the scoping guide. Let's just compare notes.
Yeah.
So you got to, cooler heads prevail here. Just got to really pay attention to this. Are there more new minutiae in it that you can get into that could bring you in? Absolutely. But what we were really trying to target this podcast is the smaller MSPs, who sub 100, that are doing the best to support the DIB space. And, what do they need to do as they support to try to stay out of the crosshairs of being labeled as a CSP.
Yeah.
And it's pretty straightforward. I think the one area where it can get kind of hairy is if, like what Adam's talking about, is backups. So don't store backups for your clients and your tenant that have CUI in it. If you don't do that, guess what? You dodged the bullet again. Congratulations, you know. But if you do, okay, now it depends. You're in the depends category. Do you want to wear depends? I don't. I'm a grown man. I wouldn't want to.
We're
So
talking a lot about old people this
yeah,
episode.
I know. I'm getting old. So yeah,
know.
stay out of depends.
Yeah.
They're not great.
I love that. Stay out of depends. I'm writing that down. Okay. Malia, write that down. Yeah. That's great. Any other things before I close you can think of? I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think you covered it. And you know, if you guys have questions too about things, or you want us to talk about a specific subject like this, please make sure to comment it down below. And we'd be happy to talk about it. If you're going to be rude, though,
I'll give you Bobby's email address if you're going to be rude. Just let me know.
okay,
Please do.
send it to Adam. Thank you. But we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Again, this is just coming from an MSP that's in the weeds of it, that's doing it just like you guys are. So we're here for it. Make sure to follow us so you can be notified anytime we post new content. We have an events page, so make sure to check out our events page on our website, which is linked below. And you can maybe come and get a cool shirt, and maybe it says, "Help, I've spilled an CUI and I can't get up," or something like that. I don't know what we said.
Use that
I'm gonna
events
go
page
back.
to find Kaleigh or Bobby and ask where we can get the new merch drops.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
So
Absolutely.
so make sure to find us on those in those different conferences. We'll have shirts, and all you got to do is ask for them. They're free. And we hope you guys enjoyed today's episode.
Adam's going to be at MSP GeekCon.
Yeah.
He's going to be, so, you know, we got to, if you see him, try to, I don't know if he'll have a shirt. We have to bring some. Me and Kaleigh will be there too. So we'll have some.
Yeah. We'll bring some.
That's one that's coming up that you can see us at, right?
Yes.
But Adam will be with us.
We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Next Thursday will be another one. So make sure to subscribe. But until then, guys, as always, keep on climbing. See ya. Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube to stay up to date on the latest CMMC news. We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode and listen out for the next one. But until then, keep on climbing.